fame, fortune, and a fall from grace so devastating it'll leave you speechless. We're diving deep into the shocking stories of celebrities who traded red carpets for orange jumpsuits, losing everything they built in the process. These aren't just your typical Hollywood scandals. We're talking about stars who threw away hundreds of millions of dollars and decades of success for crimes that destroyed their legacies forever. Before we expose these incredible downfalls, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Once worth an estimated $400 million and beloved as America's dad, Bill Cosby's empire came crashing down in spectacular fashion. This comedy legend built his fortune through groundbreaking television shows and endorsement deals that made him one of the wealthiest entertainers in history. But behind the wholesome image lurked a predator who spent decades drugging and assaulting women across the entertainment industry. Over 50 women eventually came forward with horrifying allegations spanning back to the 1960s. In 2018, he was finally convicted of aggravated indecent assault. The conviction sent him to state prison for what was supposed to be 3 to 10 years, though his sentence was controversially overturned on a legal technicality in 2021. During his time behind bars, Cosby lost virtually everything: his reputation, career, endorsement deals, and most of his massive fortune to legal fees and settlements. Phil Spector revolutionized popular music with his legendary wall of sound technique, working with icons like the Beatles and the Ronettes. His innovative production methods earned him a $50 million fortune and a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But Spector's genius was matched by violent obsessions and erratic behavior that terrified everyone around him. Multiple women reported he threatened them with firearms during relationships, creating a pattern of intimidation that should have been a warning sign. On February 3, 2003, actress Lana Clarkson was found dead from a gunshot wound in Spector's foyer. Initially claiming she ended her own life, his story quickly fell apart under forensic examination. Evidence showed she was eliminated during a struggle where Spector's violent tendencies finally turned deadly. He received 19 years to life, spending his final years behind bars until his death in prison in 2021. The producer who once created beautiful music had his legacy forever tainted by that final violent act. Downey Masterson seemed to have it all during his run on That 70s Show: fame, fortune, and a successful acting career that spanned television and film. His portrayal of Stephen Hyde made him a fan favorite and earned him millions throughout the show's 8-season run. In September 2023, Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for attacking 2 women in the early 2000s. Prosecutors revealed how he used his celebrity status and connections to the Church of Scientology to avoid accountability for his actions. The case exposed how powerful celebrities can use their influence to silence victims and avoid consequences. His conviction marked a significant victory for survivors who had been fighting for justice for over 2 decades. Harvey Weinstein was one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, co-founding Miramax and producing Oscar-winning films that shaped cinema for decades. With a net worth exceeding $300 million, he seemed untouchable at the height of his power. The 2017 New York Times investigation that exposed his decades of inappropriate conduct opened the floodgates for what became the Me Too movement. Nearly 100 women came forward with allegations ranging from inappropriate behavior to serious criminal acts. In 2020, he was convicted of serious criminal charges in New York and sentenced to 23 years in prison. Additional charges in California resulted in another 16-year sentence, ensuring he'll likely die behind bars. Elizabeth Holmes captivated Silicon Valley with her vision of revolutionizing healthcare through her company Theranos, which promised to run comprehensive blood tests using just a few drops of blood. At her peak, Holmes was worth over $4 billion on paper, but the revolutionary technology was all smoke and mirrors. Theranos never developed working devices and instead used traditional machines from other companies to produce unreliable results. Patients received false test results that could have led to serious medical decisions based on completely fabricated data. In 2022, she was convicted on 4 counts of fraud and sentenced to over 11 years in federal prison. She reported to prison in May 2023, trading her Silicon Valley penthouse for a federal correctional facility. Martha Stewart built a lifestyle empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars, becoming America's most trusted authority on domestic perfection. Her magazines, television shows, and product lines made her synonymous with elegant living. But in 2004, her perfect world came crashing down when she was convicted of securities fraud, obstruction of justice, and lying to federal investigators about a stock sale that saved her roughly $45,000. Stewart was sentenced to 5 months in federal prison, 5 months of home confinement, and 2 years of probation. During her incarceration, she lost her position as CEO of Martha Stewart Living Omni Media, and her company's stock price plummeted. Remarkably, Stewart managed to rebuild her empire after her release, proving that some celebrities can survive even the most humiliating scandals. This is the story that will absolutely blow your mind, a tale of destruction so complete and redemption so incredible that it seems like fiction. Robert Downey Jr. went from being virtually unemployable and serving hard time in maximum security prison to becoming one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood history. In the late 1990s, Downey was spiraling out of control due to severe substance addiction that began when his father introduced him to illegal substances as a young child. His arrests became routine. Possession of controlled substances and firearms led to multiple stints in Los Angeles County Jail. After missing yet another court-ordered substance test, an angry judge sentenced him to 3 years in California's Corcoran State Prison, one of the most dangerous facilities in the system. Downey served 15 months in a place he described as having evil in the air, where there were only threats. The man who had been nominated for an Academy Award found himself sharing cells with violent criminals, fighting for survival in an environment where his celebrity status meant nothing. He's described the experience as potentially life-threatening, where showing weakness could result in serious injury or death. But this is where the story takes its most incredible turn. After his release in 2000, Downey continued struggling with addiction and was arrested again within months. However, by 2003, he finally achieved sobriety with help from his future wife, Susan Downey, who gave him an ultimatum that saved his life. His comeback began slowly with small roles that required insurance bonds due to his history. Mel Gibson personally paid Downey's insurance for The Singing Detective, giving him a second chance that most thought he'd never get. Then came Iron Man in 2008, a role that director Jon Favreau had to fight to give him. The character of Tony Stark, a wealthy genius who overcomes his destructive past to become a hero, mirrored Downey's own journey so perfectly it was almost eerie. His portrayal launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe and made him one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. From a prison inmate to earning over $50 million per film, it's the most dramatic reversal of fortune in entertainment history. In 2024, Downey won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role in Oppenheimer, completing one of the most remarkable career resurrections ever witnessed. He went from maximum security prison to the Oscar stage, proving that redemption is possible even from the darkest places. Mike Tyson was the most feared boxer on the planet, earning over $300 million during his career while becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. His devastating knockout power made him a global superstar who transcended sports. But Tyson's fortune disappeared as quickly as he earned it through reckless spending, terrible financial advice, and legal troubles that culminated in a serious criminal conviction in 1992. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, serving 3 years before being released on parole. By 2003, Tyson was forced to declare bankruptcy despite earning more money than most people see in multiple lifetimes. He owed over $23 million to creditors and had virtually nothing left of his massive fortune. Michael Vick was one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in NFL history, signing a $130 million contract with the Atlanta Falcons that made him one of the highest-paid players in professional sports. But in 2007, federal agents raided his property in rural Virginia and discovered evidence of a large-scale animal fighting operation called Bad News Kennels. The investigation revealed that Vick personally participated in eliminating animals that performed poorly. His guilty plea to federal charges resulted in 21 months in federal prison and the immediate suspension of his NFL career. Vick lost almost his entire fortune through legal fees, settlements, and the collapse of his earning potential. Todd and Julie Chrisley built their brand around being the perfect Christian family, starring in Chrisley Knows Best on USA Network, while preaching family values to millions of viewers. But behind the cameras, they were running sophisticated financial scams. The couple used fake bank statements to secure over $30 million in fraudulent loans they had no intention of repaying, then hid their television income from the IRS. In 2022, they were convicted on multiple counts of bank fraud and tax evasion. Todd received 12 years in federal prison, while Julie got 7 years, effectively ending their reality television empire. Teresa and Joe Giudice became household names through The Real Housewives of New Jersey, flaunting their wealth and dramatic lifestyle for Bravo's cameras. But their financial crimes were catching up with them behind the scenes. The couple pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud, including bankruptcy fraud, mail fraud, and wire fraud conspiracy. Teresa was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison, while Joe received 41 months. Their mansion was lost to foreclosure, and their reality television income disappeared as their legal troubles dominated headlines. Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman were respected actresses with decades of successful careers when they got caught up in the explosive college admissions bribery scandal that rocked Hollywood. The FBI's Operation Varsity Blues investigation revealed that wealthy parents, including numerous celebrities, had paid millions in bribes to get their children admitted to prestigious universities through fraudulent means. Huffman pleaded guilty to paying $15,000 to have her daughter's SAT scores inflated, receiving 14 days in federal prison. Loughlin eventually pleaded guilty to paying $500,000 in bribes and received 2 months in federal prison. Josh Duggar was the eldest child of the Duggar family, whose reality show, 19 Kids and Counting, made them famous for their conservative Christian lifestyle and massive family. But in 2021, federal agents arrested Duggar on charges of receiving and possessing child exploitation material, shattering the family's wholesome image. The investigation revealed he had downloaded and viewed videos of children as young as 18 months being abused. Duggar was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 12.5 years in federal prison. Daystar Peterson, better known as Tory Lanez, was a rising star in hip-hop with multiple chart-topping hits and a promising career ahead of him. In July 2020, Lanez shot fellow rapper Megan Thee Stallion multiple times in her feet following an argument after a party in the Hollywood Hills. The attack left Megan hospitalized and traumatized. In December 2022, Lanez was convicted on 3 felony counts, including assault with a semi-automatic firearm. He was sentenced to 10 years in state prison, effectively ending his music career at its peak. John Koppenhaver, who legally changed his name to War Machine, was a professional MMA fighter whose career was overshadowed by his increasingly violent behavior outside the cage. In August 2014, War Machine broke into his ex-girlfriend Christy Mack's Las Vegas home and discovered her with another man. What followed was hours of brutal assault that left both victims with life-threatening injuries requiring extensive medical treatment. He was convicted on multiple charges, including attempted elimination, and sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 36 years. Jennifer Shaw parlayed her role on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City into celebrity status, flaunting designer clothes, luxury cars, and an extravagant lifestyle that impressed viewers. But behind the glamorous facade, Shaw was running a massive telemarketing fraud scheme that targeted elderly and vulnerable victims across the country. Her operation generated millions of dollars by selling worthless business services. In 2022, Shaw pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and was sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison. Jared Fogle became one of America's most recognizable advertising figures after losing 245 pounds by eating Subway sandwiches, transforming his personal weight loss journey into a multi-million-dollar endorsement career. But federal investigators discovered that Fogle's foundation work was a cover for his predatory behavior toward children. In 2015, agents raided his Indiana home and found evidence that he had paid for inappropriate conduct with minors and received illegal exploitation material. Fogle pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in federal prison. Marion Suge Knight was one of the most powerful figures in the music industry during the 1990s, co-founding Death Row Records and helping launch the careers of Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac Shakur. In 2015, Knight's past finally caught up with him when he ran over 2 men with his truck outside a Compton burger restaurant, eliminating one and seriously injuring the other. Security cameras captured the entire incident. Knight was sentenced to 28 years in prison, effectively ensuring he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars. Jonathan Porter, known professionally as Blueface, was a rising star in West Coast hip-hop whose unique style and viral social media presence earned him millions of followers and mainstream success. In September 2021, Porter was denied entry to a Los Angeles area bar and reacted by joining his entourage in attacking the security guard. The violent assault was captured on surveillance video. In August 2024, Porter was sentenced to 4 years in state prison, effectively halting his music career just as he was gaining significant mainstream traction. Wesley Snipes was one of Hollywood's biggest action stars during the 1990s and early 2000s, earning tens of millions of dollars through blockbuster films like the Blade trilogy. But Snipes fell under the influence of tax protest groups who convinced him that paying federal income taxes was voluntary. Between 1999 and 2004, Snipes failed to file federal income tax returns despite earning millions. He was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison and began serving his sentence in 2010. The incarceration effectively ended his A-list career and cost him millions in lost film opportunities. Bernie Madoff ran the largest Ponzi scheme in financial history, defrauding investors of approximately $65 billion over several decades, while maintaining the facade of being a respected Wall Street pioneer. His clients included Holocaust survivors, charitable foundations, and celebrities like Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick. Many victims lost their entire life savings after trusting Madoff with their financial futures for years. In 2009, Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies and was sentenced to 150 years in prison. He died in federal prison in April 2021 while serving his sentence. These 21 stories prove that criminal behavior exists at every level of fame and success. Each case demonstrates that justice ultimately prevails when victims find the courage to speak truth to power and society refuses to protect the powerful over the vulnerable. The financial costs alone are staggering. Celebrities who lost hundreds of millions of dollars, prestigious careers spanning decades, and legacies that took lifetimes to build. Bill Cosby's $400 million empire, Harvey Weinstein's Hollywood dominance, Elizabeth Holmes's billion-dollar fraud, all reduced to nothing because they chose criminal behavior over basic human decency. But the most shocking element isn't the money lost or years served. It's how completely these celebrities fooled the public while committing their crimes. America's dad was secretly drugging and assaulting women. The music genius was threatening people with guns. The Family Values reality stars were running sophisticated fraud schemes. Robert Downey Jr.'s incredible comeback from maximum security prison to Academy Award winner proves that redemption is possible, but only through genuine change, sustained effort, and the willingness to take responsibility for past actions. His story stands alone because most celebrities who reach that level of destruction never find their way back. The justice system's response to these cases has evolved significantly over the years. Where once celebrity status provided virtual immunity from serious consequences, we now see prosecutors and juries willing to hold famous defendants to the same standards as everyone else. No matter how much money, influence, or public adoration someone accumulates, the law applies equally to everyone. These celebrities learned that lesson the hard way, trading red carpets for orange jumpsuits and losing everything they spent their lives building. Their falls from grace serve as permanent reminders that fame and fortune provide no protection when justice finally comes calling.